the monitoring stations, where people don't want to go through the X-ray station, and so they line up on the one side where just the open door station is, and some of your people force them to go over to go through the X-ray station. And then if they say, well, I don't want to do that, I'd rather go through the other one, they say, well, you can do it, but then you're going to have to be patted down. Now, my question that they want me to ask is, why do you need a pat-down if they go through that smaller station? And why is that just a way of forcing them to go through the other, or can't they have their choice? And give me the reason why a person cannot have his or her choice, if they're just afraid of getting a shot of radiation or whatever it is that they're afraid of, or just plain don't like to go through that particular station.
Well, I can say the answer in one word, and that's Abdul and others like him who have been trying to bring explosives onto planes or other material that shouldn't be on a plane that does not does not have a metal component, and therefore the magnetometer won't pick it up. And so that's why you see the pat-down procedure has been adjusted to reflect, I'm sorry, that plain reality. We actually have been looking nationwide at how we can move people through. We handle about 1.5 to 1.8 million passengers a day in the U.S. air system. Things that we can do to make it easier for passengers to process through the system, and we continue to look for ways. But the reason for that basic choice and where we are is the actual threat that we're dealing with.
Why can't a person, if they line up to go through the smaller station, because that's what they prefer to do, why can't they just do that? Why do they have to be forced to go through the other?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, they should usually have a choice. So, and most people opt for the AIT.
No, they don't. I'm telling you.
Well, I'll speak with Director Piston.
Well, it seems to me, people ought to be able to use either one. Now, admittedly, if somebody looks suspicious, you've got to have that right to have them go through the more serious station, I guess. But the vast majority of people are not suspicious at all. And I've just had a lot of complaints from that. And
well, I'll be happy, Senator, to look both into the Weber County jail situation and to see some of those complaints and see what can be done.
Okay, it's Weber, by the way.
Is it Weber?
We got to get that right.
I apologize for that.
No,
Weber.
You're fine. Okay, if you would look into that, because that seems ridiculous to have to provide facilities that they're not providing for regular people, and yet they're humane jail.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you.
I might note I'd like to work with a senior senator from Utah on the issue he raises. He's absolutely right. Most pilots won't go through the X-ray. I realize that some former members of Homeland Security have lobbied to get the U.S. government to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on those things, most of which now we probably don't want, but and maybe they feel they have to use. But I've seen exactly the same situation the senator from Utah has. I know people, members of my own family, or cancer survivors won't go through it and then have to wait and wait and wait and wait. Sometimes you get the impression they almost want to make you miss your plane because you have to go through the pat-down. Children having to go through things. I mean, it's just, and I get when we hear, whether it's Mr. Pistol or others talk about, there's almost this arrogant disregard for real Americans who have to put up with this baloney. And I realize the need for security. But it just, I share the frustration the senator from Utah does, and we'll work together on this.
If I could just add, my wife loves to go through the larger station. I don't know how else to refer to it. I don't. But I've been forced to, I line up to go through that. I've been forced twice, at least twice. And I always comply, but I'm just saying, and I don't ever raise a fuss about it, nor would I. But it seems to me, if you don't, maybe I look like a terrorist. I don't know, but I don't think so.
I do.
Really very kind and loving, and good.
I do. I do provide a lot of amusement for people who are taking cell phone pictures of me getting the pat-down.
Well,
when I do it until the TSA agent tells them, well, you know, there's a law against taking photographs. Of course, there is no such law. And it's just one more example. You know, we'll go through it, we'll do it and all that, and maybe you miss your plane because they're annoyed that you actually want to protect your rights. But
well,
it's a shame because you have some very nice people working at TSA, but boy, oh boy.
Well, they do. I do have a great crew working at TSA, but I appreciate these concerns.
At the very top, there's a disconnect with reality, and there seems to be a feeling that, wait a minute, never mind.
Well, let me just add that I agree with that. I think that your employees have been great. And I will always comply with whatever they say because I think
as do I.
It's certainly right, and I know you will too. But there's a ridiculous nature to it too sometimes, and they've always been very gracious and nice to everybody I've been.
Well, I think we can continue to look into it and to improve, and we will work with you. We'll look into your complaints. I understand that and why people get concerned and frustrated when they travel. But I also think we have the safest aviation system in the world, and there's a reason for that. So,
right.
But Senator, I will give you that. You look kind and loving, and we should be able to handle this. And also look at some of the things that are coming into you.
Understand the people that work there are some of the nicest people I've ever met. I just worry about some of the directions they're getting from on top are